But we're excited today to talk about Sage Intelligence Reporting. Today we have doing the presentation Sandra Smith, who is the product specialist, product guru, if you will, with Sage Intelligence. And she's going to walk us through the product and the many benefits for our Sage customers. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Sandra.
Great. Thank you very much, James. Really appreciate the opportunity. And yes, we're going to be talking about Sage Intelligence Reporting today. And like it says on the screen, where better information means better decisions. And that means that you're going to be able to pull more data in so that you can look at it the way you need to make the decisions that you need to make. All right, I have just a simple agenda here. I'm going to talk, first of all, I've got a few slides on what Sage Intelligence Reporting is and how it works all at the same time. I'm going to talk a bit about our standard reports, or the reports that Sage Intelligence provides, and then go through specifically all the components for Sage Intelligence. I'm going to do a quick demonstration and talk about a few links that can be an area for you to learn more, helpful learning resources. What is Sage Intelligence? Well, in its very simplest form, it's an Excel-based reporting tool. That means that all the reports within Sage Intelligence are run out from Report Manager. It's a module we'll talk in depth in a minute about. All the reports are run out from Report Manager into Microsoft Excel. We're pulling data from your system, be it a Sage 100 or 500. We'll pull that data. We don't store it. Sage Intelligence does not store it. We'll pull the data and push it into Microsoft Excel. Now, we have, like I mentioned, reports that we've built. They're ready to use templates, if you will. They're Excel templates. They're stored. The templates are stored in Report Manager, so it's all organized. But we have these existing reports that you can use to look at your data, your information, so that you can make better decisions. However, we give you that the ability to customize them, to change them, to make them into what you need to see. We give you that ability to design your financial reports right down to the Excel level within Microsoft Excel, so you can use your existing Microsoft Excel skills to create and manage your reports. Now, we also give you the ability to create new reports from other sources. So let me break this down a bit. There's the ability to create new reports from other tables within Sage, your Sage 100, your Sage 500. So you think about those user-defined fields. You can create reports that include user-defined fields. You can create reports. You can access other tables, like if you're using Sage Fixed Assets, HRMS, CRMs, other Sage tables and databases, but also sources outside of Sage. If you want to report on information outside of Sage alongside information within Sage, you can do that using Sage Intelligence. Now, we also give the ability to collaborate across your business, very important. So if you have people, if you have an inventory, you have people in your warehouse you need to get information to, you can get information to them. You can get information to your salespeople, sales management, marketing, etc. We have the ability to auto-distribute. So not only can you distribute this information across your company, but also you can set it up so excuse me, they receive the information that's important to them in a timely manner. So let's look at the existing reports and layouts that are available. So within Sage Intelligence, the Report Manager is the module that you use to run the reports, okay? And this is a list of all the standard reports that we have available that are free, that are ready to go, already built for you to run out. There's dashboards, financial trend analysis report, GL transaction detail. You'll see whether 500 or 100, again, sales, purchase, report inventory. There's also the Financial Report Designer, which is an added module, and I'll talk about that in greater depth. That is more strictly financially based. There are lots of reports that are available to you, but know that all of the reports within Sage Intelligence can be customized, can be changed, or can be designed to meet your needs. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in depth. You can see in the picture, for example, below, this is a pivot table. So I'm clicked into the inventory report, which is similar to our purchase and sales report. It's a pivot table. So you can alter the view, information that you want to see using the pivot table fields here. Very, very easy. Within our report designer, you have the ability to run one of the existing layouts or design the way you need to. So using the financial report designer, there's two different options. There's an interface that we call the layout generator. Okay, that's more of an easy point and click system where those who really don't want to use the power of Microsoft Excel, they can just click on the columns at the top, the rows down the side, and they can also choose their row sets. Depending on whether it's 100 or 500, you have the ability to use account category, really set up and maintain different row sets depending on what you need to see within your financials. There's also the task pane, and that is where users who are comfortable with Excel can really create the report, the view, the layout, if you will, for their financial layout the way they need to. So if you look in that on the right-hand side, in this particular slide, you'll see there's, first of all, layouts in the task pane over here on the right-hand side. Okay, you can select a layout that we've built, or there's a list. So you can drag, in this case that's for 500, you can drag over a list of natural accounts, account groups, your accounts, etc. Or you can set up your own formulas. So you can set up a formula for your opening and closing balances, those side by side, your actual year-to-date budgets, etc. All right, there's also the ability to show your reporting units. It's a simple drag and drop, so it's dynamic. You can see one value for one region or company or product, and then you can drag it over and see a value for a different one in that case. There's also the ability to handle missing accounts, and importantly, drilling down. So for those people who need to see supporting information, they want to see the data at an account level or a transaction level, it's a simple right-click, and you see the drill down at the very bottom of the right-click menu, and then it opens up a new sheet, and that new sheet will reveal the account level accounts as well as the transaction level. So drilling down to more pertinent information. All right, so again, there's the ability to collaborate and share, but let's also go through each of the components so you can see how you can collaborate and share all this, the important information within your business. So I've already talked about the report manager. You saw a brief picture of the report manager in the first slide, but this is the module that you'll use, or the person within your company uses, to manage all of your reports. That's where all the report templates are stored. That's where you can save any customizations that are done in Microsoft Excel. That's where you can manage the report properties, meaning if you add filters or parameters, things like that to your report, if you allow people to see them or not see them, view or not view the report, that's the report manager. Now, for those of you who are using 100, you have one license for Report Manager. Those of you who are on 500, there are 4 licenses to start with. And that's, the person that's going to manage all your reports. Now, I want to also explain the Report Viewer. Not as well known, but very important for those users within your company that you do not want to have them make changes to the report. You just want to allow them to run the report out. They can drill down, so they do have access to that transactional level information in your financials, for example. They can drill down, but if they make any changes using Excel, they cannot save them, okay? So if they drill down or do anything to the report, they cannot save them. So it's really people that just need to run the report out. Very good option to maintain a little bit of security. And that's because if you just want to send a report to someone, they don't have the ability to drill into your transactional data. If you just want to distribute it via email or send to a file or to a website or something like that, those people will not have the ability to drill down, as the report viewer users will. Okay, the connector is a little more advanced. That means it's required for those of you who have, excuse me, more than one company. So if you want to consolidate information, side-by-side financial comparisons, for example, and variances, that's where you'll need the connector. But that is also needed if you want to bring data in from other sources, other tables. Again, if you want to bring information from other sources within Sage and outside of Sage. And then Report Designer, as I mentioned, is where you'll customize your financial reports. We have lots of reports that you can use. You can even start with and change. Lots of reports that are available to you. And finally, of course, license. There's a very simple license manager to track who has, what license, and security manager who has access to view or run which reports. So very important there. Finally, we have additional free reports that we have built, made available to you. Now, this is called the Report Utility. Okay, so the Report Utility, it's basically this icon you'll see right here. You'll go to our website. Okay, here's for what it looks like for 100 and 500. You just download this icon, and what happens is once that's downloaded, you click on it and it opens up the reports that are available to you for your particular Sage solution. We have quite a few. I don't know if you can see in the names there, but we've got, like a financial ratio report. We have periodic cash flow, all kinds of different reports that are available. Here's a couple more examples. Several dashboards, cash flow ratio, trial balances, several sales indicators. And if any of you on the line have worked with PowerView in Microsoft Excel, we even have PowerView reports. And that just means, that's, let's see, Microsoft Excel version 2013 and above. That just means that you'll get reports like these that are a little more graphical and interactive. You can click on each of them and all the graphs will, and charts will interact. So it's a little bit more like a dashboard report. You can still have the usual table, but you can have an additional sheet that gives more information in a dashboard form. Okay, so I'm going to now go into the demonstration portion. There we go. Okay, so this is Report Manager. So this can be run from your Sage 100 or 500 system. If you have it and it's activated, you can then just run Report Manager and you'll have the standard reports that I mentioned earlier. So for example, the dashboard, a couple of financials, the trend analysis, GL transaction report. There's an inventory again, an inventory status report, purchase and sales. So these are all reports that can be run out with your information. And I can simply run this report and see my data. But if I don't make a copy of our standard report that comes with the system, if I don't make a copy, I can't really edit and save my edits. So we always ask to make a copy, and it's so easy. You really just, highlight the report, make a copy, find a folder or create a new folder, and then paste it in there. Here's, for example, a copy of our dashboard. And what I've done is for the financials, this is the Financial Report Designer right here, this one. And I've made a copy of it, and I put it in my reports folder. And so what I've done is I've copied it, and I've run it out. And I'm going to open that up now. It opens up to a home page with, just links to some how-to videos and webcasts and tips and tricks we have. So it opens up to a home page, but we also have an instruction page. And remember, when you make a copy, then you can make changes. So if you'd like, you can hide these or delete these particular tabs and then save the report, and those tabs will no longer be there, okay? So remember, anything you can do in Excel, you can do with Sage Intelligence. Now, I'll direct you over to the task pane where you see a few layouts here. It's highlighting the Layouts tab, and that's where I can go in here and I can click on the balance sheet, for example. And so now it's generated. So it's just a layout we've built and saved here within the Report Designer report. And it's pulling all of the data. When you run Excel, when you run the report out to Excel, it stores all the data that you need, okay? And there it is. I only have half the year for 2019. So maybe 2020 so I can show the beginning of the year. So now you'll see some data. So I have my closing balance and prior closing, closing balance all through the year and prior closing for half of the year. That 2019, I don't have a lot of data for it. But we've already grouped it. You'll see on the left-hand side where this is Excel. We've actually grouped it, so I can click on a plus sign or the 2 to show all of the data here. All right, so you can see all my data from my balance sheet. I can click into a value, and here's where you can see how the formula is built. You can see that I'm looking at a particular company, a particular year, and a particular account. But you can also see there's this blank cell. That is for our reporting unit. So if you want to report on if your account numbers are segmented, you want to report on a reporting unit, come to this Tree tab. And I have several. You can have as many as you'd like. It's however many ways or companies that you have segmented. So here I have it by city. I can drag Atlanta over, plop it in, and then it changes my numbers. You can see all the numbers change. So here is where you don't need 25 different sheets, depending on how many different segments you have. You can just have one sheet and look at it dynamically. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't see them side by side. This is just how we have to have set this report up. I can clear that and go back up to the top. You see how I can change the year. If this were a consolidated report, I can change the company. I can make any of these drop-down lists. I can create charts if I want to see comparison information. But how else can you change these reports? Well, let's talk about the first way that I mentioned in the presentation. That's using that layout generator. So I come up here to the BI Tools tab, which is a Sage Intelligence edition. What we have available on the left-hand side is the ability to, maybe I can quickly generate one of the other layouts that are available, or I can edit them. So we typically, suggest you start with a new layout and copy any of these. But if I were to change this balance sheet that I have open, I can just click on it, and it opens up my new interface that shows me, there's all my columns at the top there, my rows along the left-hand side. And you can see I can go through it. If I decide that I don't want to see prior, I can just right-click and remove them. So it's very, very easy. If I will need, when I regenerate this, I will need the company and the year I buy. But I can change columns. So the dark blue ones, the ones I'm using, there's that closing balance, and see the prior that I removed. There they are, closing the priors that I removed. So you have everything that you need for a financial report, your formulas, your calculations. So there's your quarter calculations and lots of other things. Same thing for your rows. So you have your account rows, your calculation rows. And what I want to point out with the layout generator, again, is these row sets. So I'm up here at the top. I'm going to click on row sets. We have 4 that we've already built. But let's say, for example, if we want one just on account category, I'm just going to select Edit to look at it. So this is where we've created an a row set that just pulls data according to my account category rule. The rule's on the right-hand side. So you see that this is the account category rule A, are all my assets. And you can see at the bottom in the preview pane that these are all the assets I've deemed as rule A. Now, if I remove that, of course, my preview says, oh, they're gone. And if instead I want to use the account, I can. Which I think, well, cost of sales. Close. Not. Okay. So notice I'm just typing in the rule, which is the account number, and that it starts bringing up the accounts for that particular number. And so if I go back to A, it shows me capital A and account category. I can go back to the original. So these are your options: account, account group, account type, account category, and for 100 roll-up types. So there's was a lot of interest in really looking at the value according to roll-up. So those are included in 100. So that's just an example of one of the row sets that we have. We have 3 more. You can create your own. So you can create one from scratch. Remember, all you need to do is remember. You don't even have to remember actually the category, et cetera. I'll show you how you can look in the system to see what those rules are to make it easy for you to create your own. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and generate this. I made a couple slight changes, so I'll go ahead and generate it. I think I removed the closing balance and prior closing for period 1, for example. So I'm just generating another view. So you can see how you can make changes and generate until you get it right, and then when you get it right, you're happy. You could save the report in Report Manager, and you won't ever have to make changes again unless you want to look at something different. So, yeah, I forget which. I did the prior. I removed the priors. So there's the changes. So I have 2 different ones. I can delete the one that I, don't want to use, and I can save the one that I do. And then I'm going to quickly go back to Report Manager, and here, since it's a copy, it's all my properties are open over here. I can now save this template, and every time I run it out after I save the template, it will always look the way I want it, like this. Okay, I'm going to show you one more way to make changes to your report. Here, I'm going to go back up to the beginning here. So let's say you think, well, I know Excel enough. I want to do this on my own. You can hit this plus sign, of course, to get a new sheet. All right. Start with a blank slate. So maybe you think, well, I'd like my report to always show the current period and current year every time I open it up. So let's get started on creating that. So I'm going to start with the Formulas tab, because in the Formulas tab, we do have that current year, current period. So I'm going to drag that over, current year, current period. And I'm just putting it here, just for demonstration's sake, because I'm going, when I create my formulas, I'm going to point it to those 2 cells. Okay, so from here, I know there's a list in here somewhere. There they are. There's lists. If I were using a consolidated report designer, I would have multiple companies. I would just select the company for which I wanted to drag a list over. So in this case, here is that tip. So if you don't know your account types or groups or categories that you want to use for your layout generator, here they are. So there's that A for assets. And here's your account numbers, just a tip. And there's another way. If you want to drag your main accounts over, I could do accounts, but I'm going to drag my main accounts over and put them in. This also gives you your main account number, your description, there's your account category, by account, your group, type, etc. And these headings can all be used along with your Excel skills of grouping and sorting and organizing your layout. I'm going to keep the category. I'm going to remove some of these other columns. I'm going to delete it because we're just quickly creating, maybe a P&L or maybe an income statement for, just for demonstration purposes. So, I just put that in the head so that we know what we're working with. I'm going to go to my formula. And I could do year to date and actual side by side if I choose to. I'll just drag my that's a new one. Drag and bring my formula over. And notice I click into the formula bar, and there's not really much to it there. But if I click on the insert function button, it opens up. Sorry, sometimes the function argument window. Now you can see, now you can always click into this help on this function. Our help screens will show you exactly what to put in each of these fields, and it just depends on what you want to see. So if I wanted to see my account category code, I would use my account category code here. I want to use my account number, so I'm going to put it here in this GL link. And I'm going to absolute reference the column. See, it does see my number, my account number. For the year and period, remember I want it always to open up with the current year, so I'm going to reference that cell. Current period, I'm going to reference that cell. Now, I could have all my periods one behind the other or one in front of the other listed in a row and reference the row. I'm just going to stick with this one for now. And always remember there's a scroll bar on the right-hand side because I can now further define this value according to my category, group, code, etc. I am going to use this field for report tree, and I'll just put it underneath my period there, absolute reference it, and select OK. I'm going to get the fill button and fill the formulas all in. Remember, I don't have information in 2020, so I'm going to type in 2019 so I can see some data. We just don't have it in the first part of, for assets. So now you can see all my data is listed. And if I'm doing an income statement, now I'm going to work on the layout. I have all my numbers, so I'm going to work on the layout. So I'm going to remove my balance sheet accounts. They're gone. I could hide them if I want, but probably better just to remove them to have your accurate numbers. I'm going to click into my formula, which now you can see what all I'm using. Okay, so now you can see how you can, those of you who are familiar with working with formulas, you can see how you can type them in on your own. I'm just going to put a minus sign in front of the formula to change those revenue accounts to debit rather than credit. There we go. And now, just to explain from a range standpoint, just like we could with the layout generator, this is a little different. I'm going to add a couple rows here and here because I'm going to type in a range for all my revenue, 4,000 space TO space 45,000. Copy up the formula, and there's my total for my revenue. I can call it sales revenue, whatever I'd like. So if you don't like the description, I can put it here or here, whichever one I'm going to use or not use. Let me put it here because I can remove this column if I want now. And then I can group the rest up. I can delete them because I have my total, but if I want to see it later, I can group them by just using group. And there we go. So I'm not going to go through the whole report, but I could continue on with all my cost of goods sold. If I want to do a range all the way to 58.5, which is the end there. Maybe even if I want to delete one of them, 50,200 if I want to delete one. So I can copy this up, and the formula includes the range minus one account. Okay? So know that you can add two different ranges together too if you want. So from here on out, I can use my Excel skills to further make the report look the way I want it to look. And I can change, the period or even the year if I want to. Okay. And then so of course I'd remove a lot of this, clear the contents here. I can even add if I want, if I have my cards, I can insert a chart. Of course I'd change the title, etc. We have videos on, how to use Excel. We've got lots of tips, so lots of resources on how to use Excel if you'd like more information on how to really, make your reports look more informative. Okay, so this tells a nice picture, right? Of course, you can see the values, but maybe some of your users want to see something a little different. And then I can come over here to the trees Remember, I used one of those cells. That cell happens to be right here in that formula, and I can drag over my let's drag something else over and plop it right in. There we go. So it changes my value. There's my segment, tree segment. I can put that cell anywhere. You put any of these cells really anywhere. And finally, how to send them, distributing these reports. You want to get them to other people. You want to get them collaborating. You want them to have the information they need. So what you need to do is just, set up a few instructions. I have 3 here, 3 different departments, and you can send them, what you need. For example, so you can add as many as you want. But here I'll just edit this one to show you for sales, for example, maybe I publish it to a file because I have a lot of them on the road. Maybe I just want them to see it in a PDF format. I don't want them to see it in an Excel. Or maybe if I do send it as an Excel, I want them to see static values. Or maybe somebody I don't want them to see static values, I want them to see the formula. Either way, I can send an email if I choose to. I can even insert a value, there's revenue, into the body of the email. So there's the value, and so they can look at that value right in the body of the email. Anyway, so lots of different ways to send the report. I'm going to go ahead and minimize that because I did want to, just show you that you have lots of other reports available. So, for example, let's see, the purchase report. I'm just going to select the Run button, and in this case, let's see, just have to get the years right. Nice spread to make sure I have some numbers because my demo system doesn't have as much good information in it as you guys have. But this is a purchase report, which is identical to the inventory layout and the sales layout. The GL transaction and the financial trend analysis are a little different, but try them out. If you already have it activated today, run these reports out and take a look at them. You probably wouldn't have the report designer. You'll need to speak with James and his team about the report designer, but you will have those other ones if it's activated. And it's very simple to activate Sage Intelligence. So this is that home page again. Here's the vendor purchase report. There we go. So if I click into this, it's a pivot table. So those of you who are familiar with with Excel, you don't have to be. We've already done it, but we've created a pivot table for you. If you want to see the fields, select Analyze, the field list. If you want to add maybe the vendor name, there it is. I've just added it. Here's the vendor name right here. If you want to add the state, city, etc., if you want to add a chart to this, you can. For all reports, we hide the data. So if I unhide sheet 1, that's all the data that's available to the actual layout here. And again, that's where you can make changes to your report. Had I made a copy, I didn't, but had I made a copy, I could then keep this report open. I could save it, and the next time I run it out, it will have the changes that I make. Okay, I just have a few slides on some links and more information that I will. Let me get my slideshow back up. This is really a good one. Well, not only sageintelligence.com, but youtube.com/sageintelligence. Now, you can get to our YouTube site from the Sage Intelligence site, but it's great. YouTube.com, if you go there, you can even subscribe. So when we add new webcasts on 500, for example, or 100, you can subscribe and see those new webcasts. There's so many videos out there. The videos are 1 to 2 minutes. The webcasts are more like 30 to 40. We have, let me see if I have that open. And there we go. So this is our website, sageintelligence.com. You can go right to our Learning portal, which is under Learning and Learning Portal. What you'll need to do then is choose your system. Okay, so if I click into 100, for example, it's going to take me right to the beginner level of 100. Notice that there's beginner, intermediate, and advanced, so we have how-to videos, documents, webcasts, etc. We also have a place for tips and tricks, and those include tips and tricks for Excel. So I'll go to Resources, and here's our tips and tricks, so you can sign up for those. A lot of Excel ones, but a lot of intelligence ones as well. And then here's just more links, and I can now open it up for questions unless anybody has anything to add.
I guess while we wait for the questions to come in, first of all, thank you very much, Sandra. That was an excellent overview presentation. Obviously, you just scraped the surface of what the product is capable of doing. I know some of the questions that we're going to get inevitably will be, what's included for free with the licensing, whether they're Sage 100 or 500, what pieces are optional, and then pricing, of course, which is a bigger conversation. Those will direct to Maggie. So if people do have an interest in getting pricing, Maggie will be your main contact here, because she'll need to look into specific configurations and modules and options for you. So that'll be a very personal quote that she'll get to you.
Yeah, so I can go over what's included again. If you have 100, you'll have Report Manager, one license for Report Manager available to you. If you have 100C, there is an option for having the Report Designer for free, but that really depends on your customer care level. 500, you'll have 4 licenses for Report Manager, so 4 people, 4 workstations can use use Report Manager. And I think there is a most recent promo out there where there's Report Designer is included. I have to double check that, but the last I heard, they have made that available.
And you and I were talking, this is also available for X3 as well, if you have a couple customers on X3.
Oh, absolutely, yes. X3, almost identical. Of course, the X3 uses dimensions. We have the ability to use dimensions similar to the reporting tree feature that I showed you, so you can use dimensions with the X3. X3 also, though, has an online Sage Intelligence version, so you can check that out. There's and you know what? We have a section in our website, in our Learning Portal for X3, and you can see the online and the desktop version. Of course, the online looks very different from what you've seen today. Now, those of you that are interested in the connector is an additional module. It is a little bit more advanced. James and his team will probably, and Maggie will probably, find someone to help you a little bit more with the connector. But that is something. Again, it's a site license, so one license for everyone who has access to it. But that's where you can really bring in data from other tables within Sage as well as other sources outside of Sage. Even an Excel file, if you have an Excel file that has a ton of even historical information, you can use that as a source and really create a report from it. I did a webcast yesterday on a tip on how to use that, so look for that on our website.
Hey, Sandra, can you talk a little bit more about the report viewer? In order for other folks within the organization to view reports, do you have to have that report viewer, or is that more if they give them the capability of drilling down into the detail?
Yeah, it's the latter. The report viewer is what allows you to drill down into that supporting data. So if I show you this is 100. So you can see, I'm in Sage Intelligence here. There's the viewer and the manager, the two different ways to run reports, and then these are the other three, the back end. So if I were to click on Report Viewer, this is what a user would just open Report Viewer, and then what I'm going to do is just minimize everything in the background. So this is all that they would see. They would have access only to whomever is responsible and uses Report Manager would give access to this user, and they would just be able to, for example, highlight the report and run it. They can't make any changes to the report and save it, obviously, back to Report Manager because, sorry, can't work on you. There we go. Because they don't have the Report Manager to say there's no ability to save any changes. Now, that means that, of course, if they want to change the report and save it to their desktop, they can, but only that person really has access to it. The point is that the viewer gives them the ability to drill into additional data, into that transactional data. And other people can still receive reports outside of Report Manager and Report Viewer. In other words, they can be sent an email or they can access the reports that have been sent from Sage Intelligence from a file. All right? They can access and receive reports, but it's a static report. No drill down.
Perfect. Thank you.
Great
Steve,
question.
I have one more question. I don't remember if this was an option or not, but is there the ability to schedule reports to distribute automatically via email as well?
Absolutely, there is. Great question. Now here you'll see at the bottom of my screen, we use Windows Task Scheduler. We have a video on how to do this. It really is very easy to do. You'll start in Report Manager, okay, but then you'll end up in Task Viewer because Task Viewer Task Scheduler, so these are several that I've done in the past, really gives you a whole host of ways, conditions, and ways to have it sent. They can have it send a report sent every hour, every 10 minutes if you want. I actually have a customer that sends a report to a file every single hour, even on weekends. And it replaces the report. Obviously, they don't have a lot of storage. They replace it. It's a huge financial spreadsheet. They replace it every hour for people across the country to access, even across the globe to access. So Task Scheduler is very powerful, and we use that to auto-distribute.
Yeah, one more point on that, and then we'll actually go and see if we have any more questions. But just think about the use cases for this in your business. If you have department managers, right, director of marketing, director of sales, you set these reports up. You can schedule those reports to go out so that the director of sales gets a report, every week of the last week's sales or year-to-date sales or quarter-to-date sales. You can do the same thing with potentially with like commission calculations, right? Anything you can do in Excel, anything you can build a report out on, you could create those templates and have them auto-distributed, which is really nice. It's a huge time saver, I know, for a lot of us, not to mention the fact it's going to resolve a lot of your data entry issues and data analysis and Excel issues because you can make sure that they're all correct in the report. So just think about all those different use cases. There's probably 1 million of them within any business. So I think you're going to get a payback on the product pretty quick. The next point was if you are on mute and you're trying to ask a question, you're wondering why we're not hearing you, it's because you are on mute. So you can unmute your phone as well or enter your questions into the chat area. All right, well, I think, I don't see anything, I don't see any other questions, so but we'll go ahead and get this recording processed, get you out a link so you can share it with coworkers, your supervisor, friends, family, neighbors, anybody that might want to get a little smarter with Sage Intelligence. And we're going to shoot you out some additional resources, and then Maggie will reach out to see if you have any interest in, maybe a deeper dive demo or even a price quote on some of these additional features.